Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. You've had very full 2 or 3 days, and like all other human beings or animals, you've been collecting scraps and putting it in your head or in your bag or in your little writing. Collecting. There are 2 zones in this life. One is the lower zone of you as an animal, I as an animal, which has the consciousness of all other creatures, from the ant to the lizard to the lion. And this is what we are used to. And this is where the problem begins, and it gets sealed. All of us are sealed into that enclosure of space and time. Survival, rationality, reason, mind, identity. Most of us run from pillar to post, and you give the illusion to yourself, no, it's better, it's improving. Hope. Why do we have that? Without that, you cannot survive. You're already dead. Like most people, already dead. They're just walking. Worse than sleepwalkers. Because their inner attachments, their inner desires have not been faced. Never mind, it is nice and so on, and you put on some cosmetics and you feel it's all right, and you have new clothes. This sickness will increase, as you all know, and it's increasing very rapidly. If you do not want to read it, the first surah of the Quran is Iqra. If you're not going to read it, you will be devastated like everyone else. For thousands of years, we have coasted along this idea that there is a loving creator, the light, and we've reduced God into anthropomorphic thing, that he's like a great father. He gives you anything you want. And if you're not happy in your marriage, he'll change your husband or your wife, or God, because he loves me. This idea. It is changing. God is neither in this nor in that. There is only that. There is only that reality. That's very high voltage to take. You have a tiny little voltage in the plug, you get shocked and you scream. So we are changing in a manner that has never occurred before. The world now doesn't hardly bear any similarity to what it was 200-300 years ago. It has changed so rapidly that you can barely catch your breath in terms of relationships, in terms of family, in terms of money, in terms of employment. You will see. I'm not telling you that everything in the world will be dreadful and horrible, and no, I'm just saying it will be different. Different. And who will live with it are those who are connected to higher consciousness in themselves. If you're still living within this limited consciousness, you will be devastated. Your purpose, your business is to be illumined. Illumination meaning you know in your own heart that there is this supreme consciousness, there is this perfect governance, there is the perfect reality, capital R, that overwhelms everything else. So if you're stuck in your identity, in your mind, woe be to you. You will see. But once you realize there is this unfathomable, mysterious, total, if you like, cosmic reality in your heart, refer to it. Then all will be well. Your existential side will be all right. Doesn't matter. Then you know you missed the bus, you know something better is going to come because you have a reference. Otherwise you curse and you get run over. And that's the perfect destiny for a most miserable state of beingness. Perfect. There's only justice. I just wanted to share with you a few things. There are 2, 3 descriptions. If you bear them in mind, I think you may be able to survive. One of them is what I refer to as the 3 C's. The colonialists who came here had 3 C's. There is quite a lot of these 3 C's. The 3 C's they had, or at least Cecil Rhodes had, civilization, Christianity, and commerce. Now civilization is gone, Christianity is hardly anywhere, so commerce is now global. He was quite right. So my 3 C's are connectedness, continuation, and consciousness. These 2 forces of connect, and to continue are the 2 major forces in existence. No matter what thought, idea, desire, fear, whatever you have relates to these 2. You want to connect. Ultimately, it's connect with that from which the whole explosion of the universe occurred, from the original density of that infinitesimal so-called dot, or whatever it was. Everything was gathered in it, and everything got dispersed. So you and I and everything else is within that dispersal. So we want to return. We want to connect. The second thing is that of time. It's an illusion. It is the arsh. It's an illusion that you have in your mind. Time, I was born, I'm dead. Because you started moving your fingers and you say, this is my hand, this is my leg. So you said, yes, I'm getting old, I lost a tooth, and I lost this, and getting white. It's your illusion. If that illusion did not lead you to the ultimate conclusion that in reality, capital R, there is no such thing as space-time. If you haven't done that, tough luck. Go to 1 million seminars, thousands of symposiums, chant from now until the end of the universe. It doesn't help. It may spare others your problems because you are chanting. So you're getting this illusion that I'm a spiritual person. Don't you know? Yes, I have a lot of dhikr to do, you see. And in the olden days, especially in the Chishti traditions, if the Shaykh wanted to keep the fellow away, he would give him or her so much dhikr to do. And also another thing I share with you, these old litanies or words, they were for 3, 5, 6 hours a day. But look at all the different silsilas. All the longer silsilas, I started to reduce them. I share with you one of them from the Sudan, of the Ratib al-Mahdi. It was about 3 hours. But the successor found people will not do it. They'll go away, so they want customers. So reduced it to 1.5 hours. The next one reduced it. So connect, everything you are doing, you want to connect. But if you are not connected with the source of connection, you're running from pillar to post. Endless. سأرهقه صعودا وخلقنا الإنسان في كبد يا أيها الإنسان إنك كدحا فملاقيه. You are struggling. You will continue to struggle. Outer struggle never ends. Because you have to go to the bath, you have to wash, you have to sleep, whatever. But if it is not backed by inner peace and joy and contentment, you have missed it. Wake up. It's worth standing on your head, it's worth jumping to the moon or whatever to do it. In qubilat qubila ma siwaha. If that's done, everything is done. If that is not done, don't try to impress anybody else. Who are you lying to? You know. You know what is it coming from. You want to. Everybody wants to impress. Why? Because we want to appear at our best. Why? Because the best of the best of the best is in us. And that's your ruh, your soul, your spirit. It is a spark that replicates, that's like a holographic representation of Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's in you. You are a revered person. You are a sacred being. Know what you're touching, where you're going, what you're saying. If you do not honor the sacred in you, you will be dishonored by everything. So remember these two C's, and you are aware of them because of the third, which is consciousness. Your consciousness tells you now you are frightened, you're insecure about your provision, or that you thought these people are respecting you, they don't respect you. So realize that this is a message for you, that it may be that they don't deserve you, you don't deserve them, the whole thing is a kaput. They've got carried away with their stupidity, talk, because in these gatherings everybody wants to talk. They don't get an audience. So suddenly they see chairs and things, so everybody wants to talk. I find many of you so boring people. Oh, everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to have any opportunity to talk. Give me the microphone, give me the mic. And they have nothing to say. And so that is why also the communication system in the world is at such a high level that there's nothing to say. What are they saying to each other? Now, the other thing which is very important to bear in mind, as a description, everything you and I and he and she experience is one of two. Duality. Endless duality. Sound, silence, sitting, standing, one, two, man, woman, friend, enemy, hot, cold, endless dualities. These dualities are entirely based on ma, on arsh, a unitive state which gives you the illusion of being two. That's why also the Quran tells you, not until you treat your enemy as your best friend, you are not there. وَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't think that he is a hijacker, he is going to cut your head or whatever. You had a hijack, didn't you? It was a bad experience for you. So, you know that this is, but in your heart, you have no enmity or fear, because then you can escape better. So, not dumped in the middle of the night somewhere in the woods. It's another story, but never mind. So, dualities are founded upon unity. In truth, there is only one, none other than that mysterious, cosmic oneness. Bear that in mind. But you have to act within the duality. Now, what is your duality? Self-soul. You get on with whatever you can study, practice, workshop. You are a self which is a shadow, like, if you like, the ancient metaphors of the Greek philosophies. Shadow, and there is something that's causing the shadow. What is causing your shadow is your ruh. Plato's cave. Respond to the shadow, but do not despair. Do not allow it to overwhelm you. Do not allow it to concern you. Respond to it. Oh yes, they don't like me here. Wonderful. Go and sit outside, you never know something. Maybe a car runs you over and you're finished. Just as well. Because you're going to die anyway. So what is the whole business about it? Yeah, alhamdulillah, mashallah, may you have a longer life. That's why the Arabs are really cursing each other by all the time telling each other, طال العمر, طويل العمر. May Allah prolong your life. Because they want to suffer. Really. If you haven't done it by the time you are 40, 50, it may be too late. If you haven't had crisis earlier on, it may be too late. Never mind, alhamdulillah, we're all right. I did it. I did a nice Jum'ah. I did what? Who are you kidding? These are tiny little glimpses which are indicators of a zone in your higher consciousness, which is bliss that is not subject to the crack of space and time, which is called fitra in Arabic, fitra. You and I, all of us have fallen into this crack. So bear in mind always, no matter what you think, what you say, it's one of two. But it is emanating from one, hanging on one, based on one, and there is none other than the one. So always remember, do not deny yourself. Do not deny the animal. Take care of the animal. Keep it in a zoo, and then you find you are more than a zookeeper. Don't deny that you become hungry. Don't deny that occasionally you become angry. But if your anger is not instantly also not neutralized and so on, then you have no reference. You're not referring to your soul. Your soul is never angry. Your soul is never upset. Your soul is not subject to space and time. So the prescriptions that you need to bear in mind now that you have the descriptions and the maps is that from birth you are journeying in consciousness. Be honest about it. Where are you on this ladder? Every now and then you take 2 steps up and you slip 4 down. It's a journey in consciousness. Everything has got a direction within space and time. In other words, there is this arrow of time. And if you're not getting more and more access to higher, broader, deeper consciousness, then you're not growing. Forget these words, spirituality and this, forget, it's not important. Don't be trapped by words. So you have to constantly review within your own heart, genuinely, are you at a zone of consciousness that now can reflect upon lower animal consciousness? If not, you have no self-reflection. Like many bumbling people, they have no self-reflection, they're all wrapped in themselves. You know? They can't become even a car salesman because a car salesman puts himself in the other person's shoe. Now, as for you, you know, especially for your wife, I think this sort of steering is absolutely suitable, you know, because they put themselves. So a little bit of empathy. You know. So you must be at any time aware of the level of consciousness you are in until such time you are constantly touching, referring in the blissful state of utter, pure, supreme, God, any name you like to give it, consciousness. Then you are Humpty Dumpty being put together. You are both in survival, but you have also completely, utterly realized arrival. If you haven't done that, tough luck. You know, you have, your main duty have not been fulfilled. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is realize that the future is not going to be like the past. For that, you and I and every one of us need to be equipped by that referencing. If you don't refer to the ultimate, you will be like a headless chicken. You will be running hither and thither, blaming everybody. For thousands of years, we lived with strong connections with others. Here in South Africa, the Indians who came here 50, 70, 80, 100 odd years ago, they came in to help and serve and work in plantations or as traders and so on. And because it was a small community, as always is, whenever there is a small community, there is a lot of help and cooperation. Once there had been a bit of money for the last 40 years, whatever, everybody's building a villa and everybody's imitating everybody. There's sort of dispersion. I've asked many of the older people amongst them. Now you have far, far, far more money, much more cars, much more this. Are you happier? Not one of them told me they were happier now than they were 50 years ago. Because there was a little community. You know, people lived, shared, neighbors, bring some money, bring some. And because of apartheid, they could only stay with other families. There were no hotels. There was a bit of that connection, you see. So it is not based on the amount of money you have. It's not based on what outer success you have. The future will not be anywhere like the past. Many of these people whom I just referred to, they say, we can't go back anymore because of comfort and ease. We can't go back to that. That's another era. Now you will realize that the new situation that is going to face us all globally will hardly bear resemblance to the past. And what is it now? Am I going to be despondent? I say, it's Allah's the doer. How many ayahs there are? وَمَكَرُوا وَمَكَرَ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. And no less than about 17, 18 such ayahs. There are 5 different words describing it. Allah's plot is that for you to know, evolution is continuing. You are going higher. Now it's going to be more and more vertical. You and he and she, every one of us, must learn the technique of stopping space and time. You calibrate, you recalibrate, and then you put up with it, and you become a normal, sensible, healthy person. The roof had fallen. Can we do something about it? Don't worry, Ibrahim, it's not your roof. No, poor man. They've all been and everybody's running around with this rain. Every roof had been fallen. So, and Harun, blessed man, everybody. So, if there is something you can do about it, you do it. If there isn't, that's it. I can't do anything about it. Wait. You will not be overstressed. The biggest disease that is facing us nowadays is stress. The young people are overstressed. They have no time. They are worse than hamsters on a wheel. Really, don't insult the hamster. You know, but I have children to feed. I have what this to do. I have to go to school, and my wife needs new shoes, and I forgot her birthday last year, and I had hell, and. So, I didn't actually. I forget. I have no concern about birthdays, so I'm spared. Yesterday, somebody reminded me it was Blessed Zainab's birthday. So I decided from a good strategy from day one. I can't remember dates. Honestly, it was wonderful. Today somebody reminded me. I said, go away. If every breath is not a fresh, instant, possible connectedness to the absolute, you are missing it. Wake up. So these are my few descriptions and few prescriptions. Find people and friends. The biggest difficulty we had is, all right, now you have the map. Now you know all of this. Now you know you have to do it. Who are your friends that you can share with? You have to go and make them. You have to go and find them and help them. They are not there sitting under a tree somewhere. It's fantasy. You and every one of us have to find them, remind them, love them, share with them that which is not yours. All of it belongs to Allah. How many ayahs tells you nothing belongs to anybody except وَلَا غَالِبَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَلَا وَارِثَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ. So who do you think you would? At best you are a custodian for a short while. Wake up. This is our deen. If you are not in there, then you are another burden upon the path of Muhammad. Alhamdulillah, I am Muslim, one of 1.7 whatever million people. Billion people. Alhaakum at-takathur. If you have woken up, you have won. And then others will win by you. Charity begins at home. And your home is you. Anyway, I would like to thank you for your own sake and hope that you can learn the art of utter silence. No thoughts, no idea about time, who you are, what is it all about. If you do that, then you become hooked to the basic step that is the beginning of that infinite reality. Endless. Then you have insight after insight after insight. Then you are even ashamed to expect any of these miracles or magics. It's only for the novice they want miracles. And they say, something happened, I wished it didn't happen. Boring stuff. Why did you wish it? It's a sickness. Your desires and your attachments are all sicknesses. So that reality humors you. Yes, something happened. You don't know what happened. And I was there and somebody gave me this. Boring stuff. You go past it, then the whole thing is beyond miracles. So don't brag. Don't say, no, you don't know what happened. This person. Everybody thinks they are exclusive. Everybody is inclusive. Every one of us as human beings, we are the same. Your soul, your spirit is exactly the same as anybody else. But your nafs is different, your animal is different. Lock the animal in the zoo and you find all is well. And then you will begin to see the extent of the other's state, whether to what extent is the ego or the animal self is allowing the light of the soul to shine. And then if you are very compassionate, you see, yes, there is a small little stream of light coming. Otherwise, Imam Shafi'i said, and وَجُلُّهُمُ إِذَا مَا أَنْتَ فِيهِمْ حَمِيرٌ أَوْ كِلَابٌ أَوْ ذِئَابٌ. Please translate.
You find in the...
He's not describing you people, incidentally. This is Imam Shafi'i is having a couplet, but Ustad Iqbal is translating it, so don't take it personal.
Yes, we find some people in their state that they would have dogs, donkeys, and foxes.
He said most of the people, وَجُلُّهُمْ, most of the people, if you look in the, who is the dominant animal? It is these three. See? Because all survival dogs, we bite everybody else. You know, in the corporate world, they are very civilized. They don't bite it, they say. Unfortunately, you are now entrenched. Now, the worst thing was in the First World War, trenches. How many millions died in the trenches? You're entrenched, yes. We're very sorry about it, but you know, it's one of those things. You know. So it's not us, it's the shareholders. It's the banks, you know. You can't get out of that system. It is now global, and because of our love for comfort and ease, you cannot, all what you can do is damage limitation. The only thing you can do is damage limitation. Don't ever cheat yourself that you're above anything. No. That's what we have done it. Now, as I said, Allah's plot is greater. It is not going to destroy capitalism or destroy the white man. No, there's no such thing. Business is as usual. But the urgency to get out of misery and catastrophic situations is going to hit everyone. The Quran describes it. He says, you see it from outside, it is adab. وَبَاطِنُهُ فِيهِ الرَّحْمَةِ. But inside it, there is only rahmah. See the rahmah of the difficulty you have. Read the message behind what you are distressed about. Allah is telling you, how did this power occur? Unless Allah has allowed it. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, if the entire creation and more connect together to harm you, it will not touch you unless it's part of your destiny. Meaning, you have worked yourself into that position. It's come to you. And also, if the entire creation wants to give you something that is really beneficial, unless it's part of your destiny, it doesn't happen. And the whole business is according to your intention. The more you submit, the more you find it's fine. So I didn't do it, I didn't desire it, I didn't want it. You know. Really, absolutely. Last year, this time, I was very happy, as my friends here know. I said, that's it, we have had 14 of these gatherings, enough. If people haven't got it by now, they're so stupid, I don't want to be with them. Goodbye. It was wonderful. But it's not my will. My will, at best, if I am semi-awake, is a tiny little thing subject to the divine will, to the sacred will. So you have to give in. Is that all right? Look, he's been my most consistent reference, all these. So go with good expectations. Laugh at your nafs. Laugh at your animals. Poke at them. Don't allow them to kick you and ride you. Refer to the higher light. Enter into astaghfirullah. When you find yourself mean, take refuge in Allah's generosity. When you find yourself impatient, take refuge in Allah's infinite patience. Allah is not patient. Allah is not subject to space and time. Simple as that. And you begin to, and find few friends if you can. Share with them if you can. Don't brag. Don't have one-upmanship. You will be torn to pieces. That's also part of rahmah. Don't pretend that you are something special. There is only a light in you that is sacred. It is beyond special. And the rest is rubbish. It's a decaying thing subject to the second law of thermodynamics and entropy. You're decaying from the moment you're born. So be ashamed of putting yourself here and there, identity here. Get rid of your identity when you're entering into your zone of higher consciousness. Stop your mind when you're entering into the zone of higher consciousness. Time will stop for you. And you realize your ruh is eternal. Without that, you are messed up. And you contaminate others also. Is that all right? I want reassurance, but I don't know what. I thank Allah for His designs and His incredible perfections within perfections, within perfections, within perfections. I thank Allah for us being able to touch upon some of the layer upon layer upon layer of His rahmah. I thank Allah for the infinite layers and cycles of lights and delights that are in the universe. I thank all of these great beings who discovered this for thousands of years, and especially Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد